بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. Praise be to Allah, Lord of the worlds, and may blessings and peace be upon our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and upon his family and all his companions. Greetings and welcome back, my respected viewers, to the second day of the course Al-Qā'idah, Al-Madaniyyah, teaching Arabic reading for beginners. And we have reached chapter 4. Chapter 4, letters with double consonants and vowels. This chapter is one of the most important chapters of this book. This is because it introduces a new skill to the student, which is how to deal with the letters with double consonants. This is known as shadda. The most important principles related to letters with double consonants are as follows. It is not permissible to start with the shadda, but rather it must be linked and read with the closest letter with a vowel before it. Likewise, the shadda is not to be broken down to two separate syllables, but rather read as one syllable. Now let's start. Chapter 4, letters with double consonants and vowels. Just a minute, please. Upon finishing this chapter, with Allah's permission, the student will be able to identify letters with double consonants and vowels, read letters with double consonants and vowels correctly. Lesson 1. The shadda with the fatha. The lesson is read like this. A, abba, a, atta, a, atha, a, ajja, a, أح أ أخ أ أد أ أذ أ أر أ أز أ أس أ أش الص أ الض أ الط أ الظ أ أع أ أغ أ أف أ أق أ أك أ أل أ أم أ أن أ أه أ أو أ أي. It's worth noting here that the student is required to read and stop at the shadda for a duration that is not too long or too short. Examples of the shadda with the fatha. This is how it is read. ح حبة حبة. Second example. ح حتى حتى. It is noted that this word ends with a short alif, ألف مقصورة, and is preceded by a shadda letter. Therefore, this word is to be pronounced in 3 steps. Similar examples in this book can be applied to this example. Let's take more examples. The word كثر. It's spelled like this. كثر كثر. If we move to the left box, let's take the word أحس. It's spelled like this. أ ح أح حس أحس. If we move to the very end example, the word بوأ, it's spelled like this. ب بوأ أ بوأ, and so on and so forth. Lesson 2. The shadda with the kasra. The spelling technique for this lesson is the same as preceded in the previous lesson. And it's spelled like this. أ أبي أ أتي أ أثي أ أجي أ أحي أ أخي أ أدي أ أذي الري الزي السي الشي and so on and so forth. Let's move to examples of the shadda with the kasra. Also, the spelling technique for these examples is the same as presented in the previous lesson. Let's take some examples. The word سبحي, it's spelled like this. سبحي سبحي عجي لا عجل يؤدي يؤدي. If we go to the word يسر, it's spelled like this. يسي يسر. Let's move to the left box, the very last line here, the word غدوي. It's spelled like this. غدو دوي غدوي. Let's take the word زينة. It's spelled like this. زيي زينة. Now let's move to lesson 3. The shadda with the dhamma. The spelling technique for this lesson is also the same as presented in the previous 2 lessons. It's spelled like this. أب أت أث أج. If we take the last line here, أص أض أط أض. If we move to the left box, أعو أغو أف أق. And let's take the last line here. أهو أو أي, and so on and so forth. Examples of the shadda with the dhamma. It's spelled like this. يا بو يبو بث يبث حي حج يو را يرى رد يرد. Let's take the last line. تو عي تعي عز تعز ي ما يما مس يمس. And if we move to the left box, we have the word أهش. It's spelled like this. أ هو أهو هش أهش. Also the word نقص, it's spelled like this. ن قو نقو قص نقص. Let's move to the very last line here. مو تي متي تم متم ي ضو يضو ظن يظن. And now we have come to the end of this chapter. Let's have a short break, about 3 minutes. We will then have my brother Sheikh Muhammad Sadiq to continue from the next chapter, if Allah wills. Thanks.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. I thank my brother, Sheikh Muhammad Al-Hassan, for his presentation, and I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to reward him. We now continue with the following chapter, Chapter 5, Letters with double consonants and nunation. Upon finishing this chapter, with Allah's permission, the student will be able to identify nunated double consonant letters and read nunated double consonant letters correctly. Here, my respected viewers, we present some important rules related to how to deal with the shadda letter. Therefore, it makes sense to remind ourselves about some important points regarding the shadda. As mentioned and explained previously by my colleague, Sheikh Dr. Muhammad Al-Hassan, may Allah preserve him, the shadda letter is the same as the sukoon, in the sense that it is not permissible to begin with a shadda letter, but rather it must be linked to the closest vowel before it. Likewise, the shadda letter is not pronounced as two separate syllables. Rather, it is pronounced as one syllable, as will be seen and understood during the common examples if Allah wills. Let's start. Chapter 5, Letters with double consonants and nunation. Lesson 1, the shadda with the fathatan. أبا أتن الثن الجن أحن أخن الدن الذن الظن الزن السن الشن الصن الضن الطن الظن أعن أغن أفن أقن أكن ألن أمن أنن أهن أون أين. It is important to note, my respected viewers, not to add an extra nasal sound at the end of the tanween. For example, what would be wrong to say here? The word أبًا is, for example, أبًا. We move to the examples of the shadda with the fathatan. And it is pronounced like this. Examples of the shadda with the fathatan. حو حبا س سدا. If we go to the next box, the word عفوا, it is spelled like this. ع فو عفو فوا عفوا. If we go to the next word, the word قويا, it is spelled like this. ق وي قوي ويا قويا, and so on and so forth. Some of these examples have more than one spelling principles that have been explained previously in this course. For example, the word عفوا and قويا. We remind ourselves here that it is not permissible to begin with a shadda letter, and it must be linked to the closest vowel letter, as we spelled here in these two examples momentarily. We now move to the next lesson, my respected viewers. Lesson 2. The shadda with the kasratan. The spelling technique in this lesson is the same as that presented in the previous lesson. Let's start. أبن أتن أثن أجن أحن أخن أدن. If we move down to this line here, starting from the word asin, it is spelled like this. أصن أضن أطن أظن أعن أغن أفن, and so on and so forth. Now we move to examples of the shadda with the kasratan. The examples in this lesson are read exactly as the previous lesson. Let's take a few examples. So we say examples of the shadda with the kasratan. If we take this first word, it is pronounced like this. Fa, fajjin. If we take the very last word here, the word utuwin and the word khafiyyin, it is as follows. U, tu, utu, tuwin, utuwin. If we move to the very last word, the word khafiyyin, we say kha, fi, khafi, fiyyin, khafiyyin, and so on and so forth. We now move to lesson 3, the shadda with the dhammatan. So we say lesson 3, the shadda with the dhammatan. A, أب, أ, أت, أ, أث, أ, أج, أ, أح, أ, أخ, أ, أد, أ, أذ, أ, أر, أ, أز. If we move and start from here, the word akun, it is spelled like this. A, akun, a, allun, a, ammun, and so on and so forth. We now move to examples of the shadda with the dhamma. Apologies, we move to examples of the shadda with the dhammatan. These examples are read exactly as the previous lesson. Let's take some examples. We take the word rabbun. We spell it like this. Ra, rabbun. The next word, si, sittun. If we move to the last box here, the last two words, we say a, du, adu, duwun, aduwun. Take the next word, we spell it like this. Gha, ni, ghani, niyun, ghaniyun, and so on and so forth. We now move to lesson 4, 2 letters with shaddas. This lesson, my brothers and sisters, is one of the most important lessons in this chapter, and it summarizes several skills that the student has learned previously. If the student is able to spell the examples in this lesson correctly, this means that the student has mastered the most important skills of how to spell and read correctly. The spelling technique is as follows. So we remind ourselves, we always start from the title. The student is also encouraged to always read the title. Lesson 4. 2 letters with shaddas. You, ba, yuba, batti, yubatti, ku, yubattiku, kunna, yubattikunna. If we take the next example, it is spelled like this. Lu, lujji, lujjiyin. Here we draw attention to an important principle when spelling a word that contains 2 shadda letters, or a shadda letter with a sukoon letter after it. The student is required to go back in spelling the word closest to the vowel. This is because we cannot start on a shadda letter or a sukoon letter as explained previously. For example, we have the word lujjiyin. This word contains 1 vowel here, which is the letter lam. So we will need to return to this letter throughout the spelling steps of this word. Therefore, this word is pronounced in 3 steps, as is clear from our spelling of the word just a moment ago. Similar words are to be compared to this example. Let's take some more examples. The word muddathiru. Mu, mudda, muddathi, ru, muddathiru. If we take the next word, we spell it like this. Sa, ya, saya, yadha, sayadha, يذكى سيذكر سيذكر. One of the important words in this lesson is the word سيذكر. It is noted that this word starts with 2 vowels, i.e. 2 letters with fatha. The first of which is the sin, and the second is the ya. When we want to pronounce the dhal in this word that has a shadda, we will need to return to the closest vowel here, which is the ya, and say yadha. Then we will need to go back and combine the word from the beginning to where we have arrived. So we would say sayadha. Then we will need to return from the ya again and reach the pronunciation of the second shadda letter, which is the kaf. So we would say yadhakka. Then we combine the word from the very beginning to the place we have reached, which is the kaf. So we would say sayadhakka. Then we bring the ra in a separate step because it is a vowel and we can start on it. So we would say ru. Finally, we would combine the whole word together and we would say سيذكر, and so on and so forth. Some students sometimes make a mistake in this word by returning from the second vowel instead of the first vowel when combining the whole word together. Let's take some more examples. The word لأضلنهم. So we read it like this. لا أو لا أو ضي لا أضي ضل لا أضل ضلن لا أضلن هو لا أضلنه هم لا أضلنهم. Among the important words in this lesson is this word that we just read momentarily. The author, may Allah be pleased with him, mentioned this example on the teacher's guide, explaining how to spell it step by step, as an example and a guide of how to spell all the words of this lesson. This can be referred to by the teacher. In summary, my respected viewers, as seen, one of the vital general principles this book follows is that the student is required, while spelling any word, to go back every letter and start from the beginning and read it to the letter the student has reached. This is done until the student finishes spelling the entire word. The book follows this principle to ease the learning process for the beginner student at this stage and to provide plenty of practice. My brothers and sisters, lastly, the importance of unifying the teaching method of this book is no secret and holds immense value. This is so that there is no inconsistency between the teaching method of one teacher to another. Furthermore, it also allows the testing and evaluation process of the students to be unified as well. We have now come to the end of chapter 5. We shall take about a 2-minute break by Allah's will and continue with the following chapter. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Let's continue to chapter 6. Chapter 6. Hamzat al-Qat' and Hamzat al-Wasl. Upon finishing this chapter with Allah's permission, the student will be able to differentiate between Hamzat al-Qat' and Hamzat al-Wasl in their shapes and how they are read. And also read the Hamzat al-Qat' and Hamzat al-Wasl correctly. The Hamzat al-Qat' is an original Hamza with a vowel that is found at the beginning of a word. It is written either above an alif or below it. And the way it is read is in accordance with its vowel. The Hamzat al-Qat' is an original letter, like all letters of the alphabet. So all vowels appear on it. And it is not affected by its position in the word, so it is always read and pronounced. Let's start. Chapter 6. Hamzat al-Qat' and Hamzat al-Wasl. Lesson 1. Hamzat al-Qat'. It is read like this. A, as, la, asla, ma, aslama. The same example, if preceded by the letter waw, reads like this. Wa, a, wa a, as, wa as, la, wa asla, ma, wa aslama. We note here that the Hamzat al-Qat' was pronounced even after adding a waw before it. Let's take the next example. A, ma, a'ma, lu, a'malu. The same example, if preceded by the letter waw, reads like this. Wa, a, wa a, wa ma, wa a'ma, lu, wa a'malu. Let's move to examples of the Hamzat al-Qat'. The spelling technique for these examples are the same as before. If we take the first example here, we read it as follows. A, ja, aja, la, ajala. If we take this example here, the word وَأَضَلُّ, we spell it like this. wa, a, wa a, ضا, wa a ضا. ضلوا وأضلوا. If we take this example here, the word وأعلم, we say و أ وأ أع وأع لا وأعلى مو وأعلم. And if we take the very last example, the word أوحى, so we would say here and pronounce it like this: أ أو ح أوحى ح أوحى, and so on and so forth. We now move to lesson 2, Hamzat al-Wasl. My respected viewers, Hamzat al-Wasl is an additional Hamza at the beginning of a word written as an Alif, without any vowels before it. Without any vowels, apologies. When it is not connected to the letter before it, then it is both pronounced and written. However, when it is connected to the letter, then it is written but not pronounced, i.e., it is silent. The technique for reading the lesson is as follows. Lesson 2, Hamzat al-Wasl. I, ib, nu, ibnu. The same example for when it is preceded by a waw, it's read like this: wa, wab, nu, wabnu. We note in this example that the Hamzat al-Wasl was dropped when it was preceded by the letter waw. This means that the word is pronounced without the Hamzat al-Wasl, and the Hamzat al-Wasl becomes as if it's non-existent. Therefore, an important principle here is that that which is not read is not spelt. Let's take the following example. We spell it like this: I, ith, na, ithna, na, ithna, ni, ithnani. The same example, preceded by a waw, spelled like this: wa, wath, na, wathna, na, wathna, ni, wathnani, and so on and so forth. Now we move to examples of the Hamzat al-Wasl. Examples of Hamzat al-Wasl. Let's take the first example. So we would say wa, wat, lu, watlu. If we take the following example, we spell it like this: u, أر كو أركو كض أركض. If we take this example here, we spell it like this: I, is, mu, ismu. If we move to the next example, we spell it as follows: I, ish, ra, ishra, rah, ishrah. If we move to the very last line here and take this word, we spell it like this: I, ik, she, ikshi, shif, ikshif, and so on and so forth. My respected viewers, how do we differentiate between the Hamzat al-Qat' and the Hamzat al-Wasl? We put the letter waw before the word. If the Hamza is pronounced, then it is considered to be a Hamzat al-Qat'. And if the Hamza is not pronounced, then it is a Hamzat al-Wasl, and so on and so forth. My respected viewers, let's go through an explanation on how to start with the Hamzat al-Wasl in a given word. If the Hamzat al-Wasl comes at the beginning of a noun, it always begins with a kasra vowel, such as here, the word ibnu, and also ithnan, and also ismu. However, if it comes at the beginning of a verb, its vowel will be the same as the vowel of the third letter. For example, the word urkud. This is a verb, and its third letter is kaf, and the vowel of the kaf is a dhamma. So the vowel of the Hamzat al-Wasl will also be a dhamma, as we have read momentarily. However, if the third letter of the verb is a kasra or a fatha, such as the word ikshif and ishrah, the Hamzat al-Wasl will be pronounced as a kasra. So it is noted here, in conclusion, that the Hamzat al-Wasl found in verbs is never pronounced as a fatha. It either starts with a dhamma if the third letter of the verb after it is a dhamma, or it is a kasra if the third letter of the verb is a kasra or a fatha. My respected viewers, this brings us to the end of chapter 6. And we will have about a 3-minute break. And then my colleague, Sheikh Dr. Muhammad Al-Hassan, shall continue with the following chapter.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. Welcome back. Chapter 7. The natural elongation. Upon finishing this chapter, with Allah's permission, the student will be able to identify the letters of natural elongation. Read the letters of natural elongation correctly. There are 3 natural elongation letters. They are as follows. Number 1, an alif that is preceded by a fatha. Number 2, a waw preceded by a dhamma. And lastly, a ya that is preceded by a kasra. The spelling technique for this lesson is the same as to what was previously mentioned in the lesson covering the sukun, i.e., the sukun letter is not read alone, but rather it is linked to the closest vowel before it. The same applies to this lesson. Let's start. Chapter 7. The natural elongation. The natural elongation. Examples of the natural elongation with the letter Alif. It's spelled like this. Ta, ta, ba, taba. Kha, kha, fa, khafa. Ra, را ن ران ط طا ف طاف ع عاد عاد ق قام قام. Examples of natural elongation with the letter waw. A, عو, أعو, عو, أعو, ذو, أعوذ, را, سو, رسو, سو, رسول, رسول, سو, سو, را, سورة, سورة. ش, كو, شكو, كو, شكو, رن, شكور. غ, فو, غفو, فو, غفو, رن, غفور. هو, هو, دن, هود. Examples of natural elongation with the letter ya. خ, بي, خبي, بي, خبير خبير دي ني ديني شدي دي شديد شديد عيش عيشة عيشة قدي دي قدير قدير مبي بي مبين مبين. It is noted here that the letters of natural elongation are always sukoon and no other vowels are placed on them. Let's move to chapter 8. The alif after the masculine plural pronoun. Upon finishing this chapter, with Allah's permission, the student will be able to identify the alif after the masculine plural pronoun, i.e. واو الجماعة. The alif after the masculine plural pronoun is the alif located at the end of a verb after a masculine plural pronoun. For example, the word صلوا. The reason why the alif is written after the waw is to show that the waw shows a masculine plural pronoun and not a masculine singular pronoun. So, in the case that the waw does not indicate a masculine plural pronoun, the alif is not written after the waw. For example, the word أرجو. It is noted that the alif after the waw al-jama'ah is written but never read, and it is not to be spelled as well by the student or the teacher. The student should also avoid skipping the spelling steps. This is done by combining more than one step into one step. Let's start. The spelling technique for this lesson is as presented and explained in the previous lessons. The alif after the masculine plural pronoun. O, mi, أمي رو أمروا رو أمروا ت و توا و توا ص تواصى صو تواصوا جا جا بو جابوا بو جابوا ذاقوا ذاقوا قوا ذاقوا رضوا رضوا ضوا رضوا زاغوا زاغوا غوا زاغوا فتنوا فتنوا نو فتنوا قو كلوا كلوا لو كلوا مروا مروا هو نهو هو نهو. And lastly we have the word يتخذ. يتخي يتخذ يتخذ ذو يتخذ. My brothers and sisters, and with that we have come to the end of this chapter. Let's have a short break, about 3 minutes. We will then have my brother Sheikh Muhammad Sadiq to continue from the next chapter, if Allah wills. Thanks.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. May Allah reward my colleague Sheikh Muhammad Al-Hassan for his presentation. And now, our respected viewers, we shall continue with the following chapter. Chapter 9. The Ta. Upon finishing this chapter, with Allah's permission, the student will be able to identify the Ta, i.e. Ta Marbutah. Perfect reading the Ta when joining and when stopping on it. The Ta is a ta at the end of a word that is written like a ha when it appears at the end of a word and has two dots above it. When joining, it is pronounced as a ta, and when stopping on it, it is pronounced as a ha. The teacher will ask the student to read all the examples in this lesson in both scenarios, i.e., when joining and when stopping on it. So now let's start. Chapter 9. The Ta. The Ta. When joining, li, ali, ya, aliya, tin, aliyatin. When stopping, li, ali, ya, aliya, yah, aliyah. In the last example, we can see here that when stopping on the Ta Marbutah, it turns into a ha with a sukoon. Therefore, we will need to apply the principle that is specific to the sukoon letter, which was by linking it to the closest vowel before it and then pronouncing it. If we move to the next example, the word fi'atin, we read it as follows. When joining, fi, fi'a, tin, fi'atin. When stopping, fi, fi'a, fi'ah, and so on and so forth. And similar examples are to be read exactly like this. We now move to, my respected viewers, examples of the Ta. And they are to be read in the same exact way as presented previously. So let's take the first example. So we would start by reading the title and say, examples of the Thai ta. When joining ba, ra, bara, ra, barara, tin, bararatin. When stopping ba, ra, bara, ra, barara, rah, bararah, and so on and so forth. If we take the next example, the word tis'ata, it is spelled as follows. When joining ti, tis, a, tis'a, ta, tis'ata. When stopping ti, tis, a, tis'a, tis'ah. If we move to the next word, the word rihlata, we would spell it as follows. Ri. Apologies, we would need to first say when joining. Ri. Rih. La. Rihla. Ta. Rihlata. When stopping. Ri. Rih. La. رحلة له رحلة. If we move to the next example, the word زجرة, we would read it like this. When joining ز, زج, را, زجرا, تن, زجرة. When stopping ز, زج, را, زجرا, ره, زجره. If we take the next example, the word سفرة, when joining س, ف, سفا, را, سفر, تن, سفرة. When stopping س, ف, سفا, را, سفر, ره, سفره. If we take the next example, the word صورة, we say when joining صو, صو, ره, صورة, تن, صورة. When stopping صو, صو را صورة ره صورة. If we take the next example, the word فتنة. When joining في فت نا فتنة تن فتنة. When stopping في فت نا فتنة نه فتنة. If we take the next example, the word قسمة. When joining قي قس ما قسمة تن قسمة. When stopping قي قس ما قسمة مه قسمه. If we move to the next example, the word ليلة. When joining لا لي لا ليلى تي ليلتي. When stopping لا لي لا ليلى له ليلة. And if we take the very last example, the word نعمة. When joining ني نع ما نعمة تن نعمة. When stopping ني نع ما نعمة مه نعمة, and so on and so forth. Other similar examples are to be compared to these examples. My dear brothers and sisters, this is the only lesson in the book in which the student is asked to spell the examples in both scenarios, i.e., when joining and when stopping. And that brings us to the end of chapter 9. And we shall take about a 3-minute break and continue with Allah's permission afterwards with chapter 10. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Welcome back, my respected viewers, to the continuation of this course, Al-Qā'idah al-Madaniyyah. And we shall continue with chapter 10, the lunar and solar lamps. Chapter 10, the lunar and solar lamps. Upon finishing this chapter, with Allah's permission, the student will be able to distinguish between the lunar and solar lamps. Read the lunar and solar lamps correctly. The lunar lamp is a lamp that is preceded by a Hamzat Wasl at the beginning of the word. And this lamp is written and pronounced, as will be clarified shortly by the permission of Allah. As for the solar lamp, it is a lamp preceded by a Hamzatul Wasl at the beginning of the word. And this lamp is written but not pronounced. Notice, my respected viewers, on the teacher's guide page on the book, the author, may Allah preserve him, explains how we differentiate between the lunar lamp and the solar lamp. In summary, we add the letter waw before the word at the beginning. If the lamp is pronounced, this means that it is a lunar lamp. And if it is not pronounced, then this means that it is a solar lamp. Lesson 1. The lunar lamp. The spelling technique here is the same that was presented in the previous lessons, except that the Hamzatul Wasl that precedes the lamp is spelt and pronounced in a separate step. Recall that we explained in chapter 6 how to start with a Hamzatul Wasl if it comes at the beginning of a noun and if it comes at the beginning of a verb. What's remaining here is how to start with a Hamzatul Wasl if it comes at the beginning of a letter. Our respected viewers, the Hamzatul Wasl only ever enters upon a letter known as Lamut Ta'rif, i.e. the lunar lamp and the solar lamp. So in this case, the Hamzatul Wasl starts with a Fatha vowel, and the student spells the Hamzatul Wasl in a separate step. Let's make a start. Chapter 10, the lunar and solar lamps. Lesson 1, the lunar lamp. The first example, the word al-Asri, is spelled and pronounced like this. A, al, a, al-a, as, al-as, ri, al-asri. The same example, when preceded by a waw, would be read like this. Wa, wal, a, wal-a, as, wal-as, ri, wal-asri. We note here that the lunar lamp letter always remains pronounced, if it appears at the beginning of the word or if it is preceded by a letter. Let's take the next example, the word al-qalami. A al qa al-qa la al-qala mi al-qalami. The same example, when preceded by a waw, is pronounced as follows. Wa wal qa wal qa la wal qala mi wal qalami, and so on and so forth. We now move to examples of the lunar lamb. Let's take some examples here. Examples of the lunar lamb. Wa wal ba wal ba bah wal bah ri wal bahri. If we take the next example, the word al-jam'u, it is pronounced as follows. A al ja al ja jam al jam u al jam'u. If we move down to the word wal-fajri, we would pronounce it like this. Wa wal fa wal fa faj wal faj di wal fajri, and so on and so forth. We now move to lesson 2, the solar lamb. Lesson 2, the solar lamb. This is how you would spell the first example, the word ar-ruhu. A ar-ru ar-ru hu ar-ruhu. If the same word is preceded by a waw, it is read like this. Wa wal-ru wal-ru hu wal-ruhu. We note here that the solar lamb letter is not read or pronounced at all, whether we start with a word containing the solar lamb letter or it is preceded by a letter. Similar words in this lesson can be compared with this example. If you take the next example, the word al-duha, it is spelled like this. A al-du ha al-duha ha al-duha. If the same word is preceded by a waw, it is read like this. و والضو حا والضحى حا والضحى, and so on and so forth. Let's now move to examples of the solar lam. The spelling technique is the same as explained in the previous two examples. Let's take the word التغابن. It is spelled as follows. Examples of the solar lam. التا غا التغا غا التغا بو التغابو ني التغابني. If we take the next example, the word الثابت, we would spell it as follows. الثا الثا بي الثابي تي الثابتي. If we take the very last line here, the example والظاهر, we would spell it as follows. والظا, apologies, we start again. والظا والظا هي والظاهي رو والظاهر, and so on and so forth. My respected viewers, and with this, by the permission of Allah, we have completed chapter 10 of this blessed book. And with that, we have also come to the end of today's session of this course, Al-Qā'idah, al-Madaniyyah. And we would like to thank you all for your attendance. My respected brothers and sisters, there will appear a link in the chat or the description. Please click on it and confirm your attendance in order to achieve a certificate of participation upon completion and an ijazah, permission to teach. You will need to confirm your attendance, my respected viewers, at the end of every day of this course. May Allah reward you all, and we shall see you tomorrow. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.